Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. The Lord of Nothing DLC was paired with a ton of changes to the game, not least of which was a complete overhaul of the Assassin class. Those of you who follow my series ranking all the classes in the game, remember that I felt Assassin was basically trash and something you should never pick. Clearly, Owlcat saw my video and decided now was the time to do something about it. But is the class still crap after the upgrade, or are there mechanics here you should consider? Let's go ahead and dive in. To take Assassin, you must have a ranking of 5 in Stealth, so the earliest you can get this is level 6. You also must have an alignment that is some form of evil or true evil. This is kind of odd to me, considering good aligned deities and characters use Assassins all the time, but I digress. Assassin gets low fortitude and will saves, but it has high reflex saves. His base attack bonus is average, which obviously is an issue if you are running a class with a high base attack bonus. So Assassin goes great with Rogue, but if you are using a class like Slayer, then carefully consider your options. Your class skills are Mobility, Persuasion, Trickery, Perception, Stealth, and use magic device. This class doesn't get any spell casting abilities, but it does get proficiency in light armor, crossbows, daggers, rapiers, short bows, and short swords. Starting at level 1, you get 5 ranks of sneak attack damage. More damage is always great, so this is awesome. It's especially helpful if you are leveling in a class that already receives sneak attack damage because it ensures that progression will continue. You also get Mark of Death, which requires a standard action and allows you to attempt a knowledge or lore check on your opponent depending on the creature type. If you succeed, your attacks against this creature ignore damage resistance and all of its resistances. This is actually a big deal because many enemies heavily use damage resistance to mitigate your damage. Some enemies are resistant to certain types of damage, such as slashing, so it's really nice to bypass that as well. The issue is this requires a standard action, so you'll basically have to burn a turn to activate it, and that's only worth doing against bosses. You also get Target Assassination, which is a special attack that requires a full round action and can only be used on a target who is marked for death and cannot see you. A -2 penalty to attack is imposed on the ability, but if you are able to successfully hit the enemy, it is forced to pass a fortitude save. If they fail, the target dies instantly, and even if they succeed, the attack counts as a critical hit, although you do still need to perform the confirmation roll. In addition, the target is shaken for 1d4 rounds. There are a couple of other classes that have similar abilities, and oftentimes the issue with them is that a lot of bosses are immune to the effect. I am honestly not sure if that's the case here, so let's just assume this works on everybody. The attack penalty isn't a big deal, because most likely you are using Assassin with a character who gets a crazy amount of attack bonus. What I do find problematic is that the saving throw is for fortitude and scales off intelligence. As you progress in the game, enemies' fortitude saves are very strong, so you need a sky-high DC in order to crack through them. There are very few martial builds that have room for you to invest in intelligence, so I would expect enemies to pass their save consistently, especially if they are bosses. That means you are doing a full round action to do one critical hit against an enemy when you could just do a regular full round attack and potentially get multiple critical hits. There are a bunch of different ways to make enemies shaken, so that part of this doesn't impress me either. Overall, I am going to go out on a limb and say this is trash, and consequently Mark of Death's usefulness is limited as well. At level 2, you get Uncanny Dodge, which ensures you do not lose your dexterity bonus to AC if attacked by an invisible assailant. Definitely nice to have and makes you more tanky. You also get Cold Minded, which provides a bonus of up to +4 on saving throws against mind affecting, compulsion, fear, and emotion effects. That covers some really nasty crowd control effects, so this increases welcome and again makes you more tanky. Level 2 also provides Poison Use, which allows you to apply poison onto your weapon with a move action. Owlcat has added a mythic ability that allows you to bypass enemy poison immunities, so this is now a more viable option. The poison will apply to your next attack and force enemies to pass a fortitude save or take 1d4 damage to either strength or dexterity. As you level up, enemies must roll 3 times to remove the poison. It lasts for 7 rounds. Constitution is added as an attribute you can debuff. You can apply the poison with a swift action, and even if enemies pass the initial save, they have to take 1 round of poison. Most of you already know what I am about to say. Enemy fortitude saves are sky high, and most melee characters cannot get high intelligence modifier scores. Therefore, most of the time this is going to fail. Even if it does succeed, you do 1d4 damage to one attribute. Big whoop. You cannot apply poison and then do a 4-round action, so basically you sacrifice a bunch of damage to at most pull your enemy's modifier down by 2. Also, to be honest, I am not a fan of the gameplay loop that is being enforced here. Basically, to do maximum damage, you need to burn 2 turns. Combat starts, you use your standard action on Mark of Death, and then you move towards the boss. On the next turn, you use your move action to activate poison, and then use it with a standard action. Then finally, on your third turn, you can use a 4-round action on an enemy that bears your mark and has been inflicted with the poison. That is, of course, if your party members haven't already handled business a long time ago. In some cases, you'll be able to activate poison before combat starts, and again, by level 7, you are able to activate it with a swift action, but still, considering the mechanics some of the other prestige classes provide, this feels very underwhelming. At level 3, you get WotR Ego, which basically lets you cast mirror image on yourself with the added bonus that as long as 1 copy is present, you automatically deal sneak attack damage. You can create up to 3 copies as you level up for a number of times per day equal to 1 plus your intelligence modifier. Now this is very interesting because usually you would focus on attacking enemies that had already been engaged by at least one of your party members to trigger sneak attack. This ability significantly ramps up your defense while at the same time freeing you up to deal sneak attack damage against whoever you wish. Most classes that make sense for Assassin don't have access to mirror image, so just all the way around, this is nice. At level 4, whenever you kill an enemy, you will also attempt to demoralize all enemies within 30 feet. If your victim was affected by the Mark of Death, then you get a +2 bonus to the check. This is alright. There are a bunch of easy ways to demoralize enemies, so getting it here doesn't really do much for me. Finally, at level 10, you get Master Assassin, which allows you to use Target Assassination as a standard action. Again, that ability is unimpressive, so this upgrade doesn't matter either. You also add sneak attack damage whenever you attack an enemy that has Mark of Death. If you take Assassin all the way to level 10, then you almost certainly are using WotR Ego on a regular basis, which means you are getting automatic sneak attack damage anyway. Again, this is unimpressive. Overall, I rank this class a C because there are too few players that it actually serves. Basically, you need to be a martial-oriented character with a high intelligence modifier in order to get the most out of Assassin. You also need to use no spells, so Eldritch Scoundrel doesn't count. I rank it a little higher because I do think it's an interesting 3-level dip. You get 2 ranks of sneak attack, Mark of Death, Uncanny Dodge, Mind Affecting Spells Resistance, and WotR Ego. If you've got nothing else to do, then you can take in 9 ranks to get the other 2 Ego clones, but personally I don't think it's worth it. Am I missing something? Seems like people were excited about this, but frankly, I think the class just went from absolutely abysmal to mid. Let me know down in the comments if I got this wrong. That's all the information I have regarding the upgrade to Assassin mechanics. Hope all of you enjoyed this video. Take care!